Hello, it's Jeff the Rain Man Braddock here to alert you to our latest update for our game, Battlefield 5, that comes 3 weeks after our previous patch, which is 1 week more than the every other week cadence that we set for ourselves with updates. However, we are putting lots of fixes in this update to make it worth the extra week, especially since the Tides of War reward for last week was a paltry 5,000 company coin, which is 1/14 or 1/18 the cost of a tank skin, 1/3 of a rare soldier set, and 1/2 of a rare weapon set, which means it's not even a full reward because you can't even purchase a full item with it. Anyways, for the fixes, one of the core philosophies of our game is, or should I say now was, attrition of health and ammo, but with this patch, the ammo crate and medic crate gadgets now allow for teammates to grab ammo or health by just going up to friendly medic or support players and take it without asking, which is weird in the #MeToo era. Additionally, for the medic crate, when it's on the ground, it allows for people to be healed within 2 meters of the item without having to manually go up to the object and interact with it, akin to more how it was in past Battlefield games. But the effect is interrupted for 2 seconds when taking damage and 1.5 while suppressed, so that this way, that mechanic actually starts to somewhat matter now. This buffs the crate options for these 2 kits, since everyone would mostly use the pouches because they were better, due to being able to throw them out like duplicates in a Magic the Gathering card pack that aren't lands, but at the cost of attrition being less impactful, since there's more places for players to interactively resupply without relying on blueberries that aren't window lickers and actually know their role like The Rock says. Some weapons also got tweaked. The P08 carbine now has less recoil because it's not as powerful as other scout weapons like SLRs, so it should be easier to use. The Commando carbine got a buff to the 2-hit kill range and the 1 headshot, 1 body shot kill range, as well as a muzzle velocity increase to make it be not the clear worst weapon in the medic class. The M28 Cone Trombone Sino has a grenade launcher attachment. It was doing the wrong damage. It now deals the right amount of damage. The LS-26 also got a buff to the recoil pattern so that it's easier to use because it only has 20 bullets in a clip, which is the smallest in the support class, tied with the FG-42 for LMGs. All automatic rifles and SMGs got an accuracy improvement for aim shots after the second, and the MK6 revolver got a nerf in swap time because it was so much better than the other pistols. Nobody that could actually aim was using anything else. This will make other pistols feel useful, unlike what people make me feel at my job, especially on Reddit. In vehicle tweaks, bombers can no longer keep up with fighters due to improved turn mechanics on the ladder, as well as getting another indirect buff by having rocket damage against those fighters, having their non-repairable damage multiplier reduced from 1.8 to 1.0, so that this way you could repair your vehicles better and thus stay alive longer like the Bee Gees. We fixed an issue where players would get killed if they had switched seats in the vehicle, then left the vehicle, then the vehicle gets destroyed, resulting in players spontaneously combusting, which would probably get featured on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Another big change with the patch is again to soldier visibility, because lack of spotting can sometimes mean that soldiers blend into their environment well, especially if they're using the default outfits, since we don't hand out enough company coin for people to buy new ones, and most of the cooler ones are only purchasable with boins anyways. Even though we implemented an aura healing effect with the medic crate, we also gave soldiers another type of aura, this time a light outlining their character models in very dark places, so this way you cannot resurrect the Dark Corner McDougal catchphrase back when Wicked Shrapnel actually played games instead of eating shitty food. Also, with visibility, when players are directly looking at an enemy within 8 meters, which we've calculated is the proper distance distance for viewing, the enemy name tag will be visible for that player only, similar to previous Battlefield titles. Considering we also borrowed the supply grabbing mechanic from Hardline, might as well bring standard features in past Battlefield games to our current one, right? In Battlefield 5, there is an automatic leaning feature. However, it's not as intelligent as I am in detecting the correct surfaces for doing so, thus we added a manual leaning feature. It's only available when aiming down sight. Bipods will not deploy while doing so, and you move 50% slower when you manually lean, since it's harder to hit someone that's curved, especially if you wiggle back and forth like Neo from the Matrix. In the previous patch, we added the landing roll mechanic when you push a button. In this update, the landing roll is now timing based. In order to trigger this animation in a game with too many of them immersion breaking ones, you have to time your button push to be precisely within 333 milliseconds before hitting the ground, which I calculated in my brain should be enough time even for people that have the reflexes of a grandparent. In game mode changes, we removed a placeholder box from the practice range that was discovered on the same day that the patch came out, which surprised me. No, not that they found it so fast, but that someone was actually using the practice range, which should be used for practice. That's why it's named that way. But it's still useless 6 months after its December introduction because players cannot use their own specialized weapons and vehicles in the practice range. So what is the point of practicing if you cannot practice on the things that you'll be using in the regular game? Firestorm is another game mode in Battlefield 5 that was added post-launch. Unlike some other EA Battle Royale games, we've actually updated the map by adding 3 new locations. Watchtowers along the southwest coastline if you manage to find a weapon with an actual scope on it and want to look out at the vast emptiness that is our map, since the mode is basically already dead, especially after removing the duos option. Again, it doesn't make duos players play squads, it just makes them play other Battle Royale games that have the duos mode in them. Oopsie. Another location is the Blue Forest, west of the dam, of which there is no reason to go there right now, since there is no loot or buildings, except to admire how we didn't even have to apply the standard dice blue filter to make the flowers look so pretty, and excavation site southeast of the quarry, which is even worse than the Pluto dig site in terms of both location on the map and quantity of items found there. We've also added a new gold tier weapon to Firestorm, the Boys AT rifle, which coincidentally is the weapon for this week's Tides of War live service buzzword excuse to ship a shell of a game to be filled with broken promises. This gold powerful weapon is for the recon class in multiplayer that is an anti-tank rifle that can damage vehicles similar to K-bullets in our previous game, but also does damage to infantry. The only primary weapon to do so, however, you need to prone or put out the bipod for the weapon similar to MMGs, so have fun with yet another class that's lying down on the ground that looks like a dead person, only to find out that they're shooting at you. Also, with Firestorm, we've made looting suck less, not by overhauling it, but by fixing clipping issues, so this way it's still somehow the worst looting mechanic in any Battle Royale mode, in spite of having all of this prior art to work with. Artillery strike shells will land closer to the center of the minimap area because you shouldn't be damaged on the outskirts of the circle when it says you're safe and you're not. And we've increased scoring for the mode when your squad is carrying you by them getting downs or kills, or you outlast your enemies by avoiding conflict, similar to what I do in real life. We also fixed an issue where players, in some cases, would get disconnected from the server when deploying in the hangar. The airplane hangar is where the pre-lobby starts in Firestorm. But we didn't fix the bigger problem where players could get out of the hangar to start a round already looting while others are parachuting down, because we can't program invisible walls into our game. We also released some 411 about our rental server program, in which us here at DICE are being generous by having a free tier of private games with a certain tool set that will then charge platoons even more money for plugins that used to be free in third-party servers, but we here at DICE go backwards with functionality. This feature will be detailed at EA Play in early June, which is our equivalent at E3, because EA is so cheap they don't even want to pay for E3's convention fees. And the feature will be available sometime after the summer, since you people should be going outside and playing instead of sitting indoors and gaming like an antisocial person such as myself. That's a pretty long wait for people that want hardcore servers like in the past, or clans that have already abandoned ship and is far too removed for them to come back. Since we're doing private games for free, we've got to make our money back somehow, right? Well, we are going to be selling tier skips for the remainder of the Chapter 3 Tides of War for 150 boins per tier, which is actually more expensive than other games that are making dough hand over fist doing the same practice. Oh, and here's another idea. We could take that pit crew set that was originally purchasable with the in-game currency company coin and put it back in the store, but for real-world money currency boins. I said on Reddit, I'm trying to figure out what the thinking was behind this besides greed, but much like the people that complained about last week's reward, this will get swept under the rug until the next controversy that we always seem to self-inflict around here.